We're going to be joined here shortly with Springfield Alderman Shawn Gregory. We'll talk about a variety of different things concerning Springfield city business. One of the things I want to talk with him about is the possible designation, national designation of the 1908 race riot sites. Also want to talk with him about the decorum issues at City Hall and what else is big on the City Council's agenda coming up. Plus, we've got to get his reaction to what's the latest with the Wyndham City Center. I connected with Springfield Mayor Jim Langfelder yesterday outside the ribbon cutting and asked him about what's going on with the Wyndham City Center. And in particular, some aldermen saying him responding to the mayor saying that there was politics involved in shooting down two different proposals in the Wyndham City Center plans for selling to a New York firm to then change some of those hotel rooms into residential units, including the idea of having studio bedroom apartments. And that was something we talked with Springfield Alderman Ralph Hanauer about yesterday. And he said that the ideas just don't sound good for the city of Springfield. But here's Mayor Jim Langfelder talking about Springfield aldermen and their thoughts and what's the next step for the Wyndham City Center, especially with the idea that if nothing's done, then the Wyndham City Center could possibly go towards government subsidized housing. So again, here is Springfield Mayor Jim Langfelder giving us an update of what's going on with the Wyndham City Center.
To my surprise, after the first meeting, when it was turned down, a person from the media asked me, goes, "Mayor, do you think the vote was politics?" I go, "What?" And I said, well, hopefully that's not the case, but if someone is acting that way, they shouldn't be around the horseshoe. I was just repeating what was asked to me. So that's in their heart of hearts. Each council member, that's why I provide information, make that intelligent decision on how to best move forward. Bottom line is a couple things. One is the current owner says he's going to retain the property if this project doesn't go through. It's not going back to the bank. And I know there's a lot of misinformation out there where some council members, even my director had mentioned that. It's not going back to the bank. He's going to retain it because he wants to get what he put into it. And the most recent expense was the $1 million Starbucks. The other side of it is with the new developer, he has changed the model. He put 200. I think he filed for 275 apartments. That's stark contrast to the 400 he originally submitted for. And so 125 hotel rooms. I've been told by council members that weren't on were voting against it. They thought that could work. And so, if they don't feel that can work, as I said, the last city council meeting, amend it. If you want to amend it, amend it. But what you can't do is just continually shoot down projects and not have a solution. So I think we're at that point where it's either go or showtime. It's time to go and get something done at the Wyndham and make sure that it's brought up to the level that it needs to be, that everybody expects it to be, especially our tourists and our residents.
So again, that's Springfield Mayor Jim Langfelder giving us a bit of an update on what he hopes happens, and we'll get reaction from Springfield Alderman Shawn Gregory on that and other issues. Stay tuned. It's right here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and... All right, back with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop, joined in studio by Springfield Alderman Shawn Gregory. And Alderman, thanks for taking time with us this morning. How you doing?
All right. And you, sir?
Good. I got to fix that camera angle over there. Bring that. Okay, there we go. All right,
sure
now.
I'm looking good.
Yeah, it's radio, but for those of you watching online, you can follow along. But we just heard from Springfield Mayor Jim Langfelder. I asked him yesterday about what's the status with the Wyndham City Center. And this, of course, is with the prospect of if they don't approve the sale to the New York firm, you could see government-subsidized housing at a pretty iconic building in downtown Springfield. You supported previous iterations of this. It's now been voted on twice and shot down twice. He says, the mayor, that the new idea could be 125 hotel rooms rather than the 80 that they first tried and then 100 that they tried again. Do you think that that's going to be enough to win over aldermen who did not support this?
It's a tough call. I think some of my colleagues is pretty set in their ways sometimes. But, for me, and I want to say this, subsidized housing, that word, it seems to scare everyone, but, it doesn't scare me. It doesn't bother me or anything. Sometimes these type of places are poorly managed, but the people are our people. And so those are the type of things that give me a little, But I voted in support of this project. I asked some very tough questions. And I think one of the questions that would help, maybe on the Springfield Convention and Tourism side is, what is our average 5-year outlook on hotel room rental at the Wyndham, and see if we can get the mark there. And then at that point we have enough rooms, and I'm not jumping over joy about a mixed use type of situation, but this is the cards that are dealt, and I think we have to play them the best we can.
So we'll see what happens ultimately. I think I saw reported they're going to go back in front of the zoning board with a new idea, and we'll watch that closely. But the ideas of having government subsidized housing in downtown Springfield, right next to the convention center, across from the Lincoln Hotel. Have you heard concerns from constituents, or what kind of feedback are you getting from constituents if that's the direction that at least has been threatened by the current owner, right?
Yeah. Some of my downtown residents, they have no real druthers. They would love to see the hotel. They're interested in some apartments downtown, certainly, and whether or not this fits. They do sound kind of small and things of that nature, more for a business or a single mom or single dad. If I was 18, 19 years old, that'd be the spot for me, right?
I thought that too. 350 square foot apartments, studio type apartments. I mean, for some younger people, that's pretty attractive.
It is. So if we get a large university presence down there, something like that could be a real big deal. We're not quite there yet, so it's a tough decision. But these are the cards that we're dealt. Guys saying, hey, I can't hang on to this thing no more, and I'm gonna be forced to do something that's not ideal for maybe this situation downtown, and that's the situation we're in. So, I try to make the best decisions to make sure all communities go forth.
We're talking with Springfield Alderman Ald.Shawn Gregory here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk, and we're talking about some of the latest in city business. Of course, the Wyndham City Center, we'll have to get updates on that, but a lot of other things going on, including decorum questions. Alderman, I was gone last week, so I didn't hear any of the response necessarily outside what the newsroom here reported on, but the week before you did have a bit of a crosstalk, as we call it in the business, between you and Alderwoman Purchase, and it dealt with issues of people experiencing homelessness and how they may be characterized in some instances, and she was raising issues about certain crimes that are happening and seeming to somewhat, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, but seeming to somewhat relate the two. You took umbrage with that and raised your concerns, but there have been some questions about just general decorum, and it's not just this instance. We've seen it. Listen, for as long as I've been following the city council, that happens. People get passionate. Absolutely. How do we best control those tempers, those passions? Well,
I think to try to limit anyone's passion is the wrong thing to do. I think we and the thing with me, guess what? I have some very good advisors that's around me, that's elders, that pull me to the side and say, hey, you're held to a higher standard. You gotta make sure that you're not coming off as this angry black man. And I try not to do those things, but some things just really set off my passion to a point to speak passionately about, and that was one of them. This Section 8 thing. If I keep hearing that, I'm probably gonna say something about that, right? Because it just irritates me just a little bit. But and
it irritates you because of the negative perception that people put on it.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to for that makeup of people to move forth, right? Like for instance, right? We were given an example of a homeless person stood up and he rawed or cussed somebody out while they were walking. So I think I'm like, well, have we ever thought about how many people walk by and mess with him and done mean things to him and to make him feel that way? and so that's what I always try to keep in mind.
Well, and one thing you said I think was kind of interesting. We've got a vibrant medical community,
Absolutely.
right? And I don't think I've shared too much with you about my family, but I have a family member who for 30 years has been struggling with mental health issues and even was homeless recently to a certain point. It's something that we need to focus more on mental health. A lot of people experiencing homelessness are suffering mental health issues. And you said, where are the white coats? We need more of those down there. Talk a bit more about that. What can be done and where are we at with that, dealing with the experiencing of homelessness?
Well, I call it similar to these pop-up parties. I think we need to have pop-up mental health times where we just go down here and go to our spots where people are experiencing hard times and really get to know them, and that's how we bridge the gap. Yesterday I cut grass all day with a homeless man. He was helping me out because I had a lot of stuff to do and I didn't feel like doing it myself. I stopped, I seen him walking, a guy I know. I said, hey man, you want to come work today? Because I know you're going to ask me for a few dollars, so come on, let's go work. And that's just how I do things. Me and Amaris had some talks about really putting together a workforce program. I've talked to Nick Dodson at Helping Hands about this because I feel like there a lot of people want something. It's just opportunity, and guess what? We shun on people who go drink, have a beer, and things of that nature with their money and act like it's the end of the world. But we all do it. So that's the thing. See, I'm talking passionately now because those things are really on my heart because I live it every day, man, and I see it every day. I'm not like my other aldermen that's well off in life that doesn't do this. I'm out here with our people, not struggling, but, I'm trying to make my way too. So,
well, and that's why we have a representative form of government, right? To be able to have this diversity of voices instead of just a bunch of appointed people. Right. We're able to hear the plight of everybody across the spectrum. We're talking with Springfield Alderman Shawn Gregory here with Springfield's Morning News. Finally, I wanted to talk a bit about the 1908 race riots designation that we could possibly see here. From the indication I've seen is it might be moving forward in particular because we already have National Park Service staff in town because of the Lincoln Historic Home. Talk about the significance of this.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's probably one of the most significant projects that we could ever work on in Springfield, and to really see those ruins, so to speak. When a vibrant community was burnt down to the ground, all because of a lie and hate-filled people did that. So I always think, like I said at the thing, what would the black community life be like if that never happened? And how further along our community would be. So I think to really show that and really mark that space as sacred would mean a real big deal to the citizens of Springfield. Of course, drawing tourism and all the things that people see, but just to show that this city marks that as forever sacred ground. I think it's special. It's special to me. When I was young, I didn't learn about all this stuff, man. I didn't care.
I was in Springfield for a good 5 solid years before I really heard anything about it. Right.
So to learn all of this, with Mr. Donegan, honestly, everything I've learned about him, he was what we call today the man. He was well off. He was a businessman. You didn't have too many well-off black business people back in those times, and he was one of them.
It's going to be fascinating to see that unfold as well, and I think the more history we know, the better off we'll all be in working together. Springfield Alderman Shawn Gregory, thank you so much for taking time with us this morning. We'll definitely talk again soon, all right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
We'll see you out at the Illinois State Fair.
Yes, sir. I'm going to give me some corn dogs.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. All right, it is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Coming up on